It was on December 28th, 2024 when I finally got around to interviewing someone who uploads drawings as a way of content creation. Overall, this video features what I had to say about the process of setting everything up and anything I wanted to say now that I got the video uploaded on the following day, which is December 29th, 2024. Now cue the intro on that one Halo 3 map. The idea began last year. There are points in this video I brought up in my previous commentary video, but to give a roundup on these points, I know it's not easy when it comes to the first steps because to establish an idea, anyone can see the step to be objectively easy because you haven't done anything that came to mind. You are only picturing how the final result would look like. As for the choices on which ones to interview, I narrowed down the idea to those who I already follow, and some of them are ones who I commissioned artwork to before. Taking a look at works any of them have uploaded to their respective pages, when it comes to asking around, I was met with responses that it was better to hold off such offers with the important factor on things such as a lack of free time, which I understood and respected, of course, because many of the ones who did decline on the offer were the ones who drew for a living as opposed to drawing as a hobby. For the artist who accepted my offer, the time gap between stumbling across his content in November and offering him the interview again in the same month, the gap was quite short. To just scroll through his content to see how impressive everything is and what he can do, that step was quick enough, and thank goodness everything was uploaded on both his Twitter and Pixiv page, which made scrolling through everything a lot easier because some artists will split things up where one page displays some works while the other one displays everything. For the days leading up to the interview, was there an original set date on when it was supposed to take place? The original offer was negotiated to take place on the 27th of December. However, respectfully speaking, circumstances for Wrong changed, thus we accepted the idea of conducting the call on the following day at the same time, which was on the 28th of December. During the call, it totaled close to 2 hours, which to me was a surprise because my original goal estimated the interview would only be about 1 hour. But during the interview, it wasn't surprising there were some conversations and follow-up questions that extended the time of the interview. As for my side of things, when it came to my turn to speak and start conversations, what I had to say were longer answers because the way I wrote down everything, apart from questions, it was also scripted for the things I wanted to give in response to his answers to my questions. Because these interviews I do, it's about not only understanding who the person is that I am interviewing, but I also want to share my perspectives as well. The questions I brought up during the interview were split into two portions. The first 13 questions were related to the topic of drawing, and even during this phase of the interview, I had my own things to say as part of the video. While they were long answers, it was just from personal experiences on what I have seen and been told by other artists, and to see how he thought of my observations. Whereas the remaining 11 questions did not relate to the idea of drawing, but served as a way to understand who I am talking to, which also gave time for him to ask any follow-up questions and start conversations if he wanted to as well. But overall, for coming up with what questions I wanted to ask, it wasn't done all in one day because I do not have the experience in conducting interviews and writing down questions related to drawing. Thus, there were questions that only came to mind after day one of creating the script. The overlay you see throughout the entire call, how I drew up the design came from inspiration looking looking around what podcast and interview overlays look like, taking into common things displayed on said overlays, factoring in how I would design my own overlay to my liking, and to consider the idea of simplification because it's common across lots of overlays we see today. So the first step was to use a screenshot I had lying around, which happened to be a screenshot I took of Titanfall 2's Angel City, the same background I used for my thumbnails when I used to live stream Titanfall 2. Then came the question of how I would display both our respective profile images, which resulted in the idea of his profile picture and my custom Titanfall pilot to be shown in individual frames. But here's what I did differently from most of the other overlays out there. Instead of a single audio visualizer for both of us, I decided to split it up so both of us had our own audio visualizer next to our frame, which was inspired from the Titanfall 2 communication cards. So the mention of making things simple, the final design involved a straightforward title to this video series displayed on the overlay. I also prioritized visuals over text and information, but for the indicators on who is the one conducting the interview and who is being interviewed. While I did look around to see examples where such overlays gave less straightforward information but creative wording, once again I chose the idea of keeping things simple and straightforward, to just have one frame display the word guest and the other one to display the word host. But funny enough, what came to my mind for that idea wasn't just ideas from overlays I saw. It also came from the straightforward team identification you see on scoreboards used in sports, where one team is identified as home team and the other one is identified as the guest team. When you construct the questions for the interview, if you had to pick one question you found interesting and if not favorite, which one would it be? It's this one. What misconceptions did you have about drawing? And even today, did any of those misconceptions stick with you today? I found that question is not only interesting, but it's also very effective in order to understand someone's personal experience on a topic. These types of videos are long in comparison to just about anything I've ever uploaded. For the editing phase, it took more than 2 or 3 hours. So from the night we finished the call, I've spent time until 11 p.m. to finish off what I can and resuming on the day I would upload it, to finish whatever I needed to add or cut. But due to the video length, even rewatching everything to ensure things turned out correctly prior to rendering the final video, which also took about 2 hours as well. So on the morning of the upload date, it took around 8:30 to 11, and for the video to be uploaded and ready, that I recall did not take as long as 2 hours. I believe it was around 70 minutes according to what it said on YouTube, and for the video files, the original recording only totaled to 1.2 gigabytes, while the final render was only 1.87 gigabytes. So that wasn't much, thank goodness. Now, for other artists I want to interview, my first priority is to ask anyone I offered before. If that doesn't work out, then I will ask around to any artists I follow as well, but never asked them before. Let's get through 2025, marching ever onward to tomorrow and forward unto dawn. My name is Dragon Actual, and thanks for watching. See you next time.